I'm a California girl. So when I read that the Design Museum in London had an exhibition called California, Designing Freedom, I jumped on a plane and went to see it. And now the exhibition's here in Holland. Hello, Justin McGuirk.
Hello.
Good to see you again.
And you?
You are a curator at the London Design Museum, and the show that you curated there, California Designing Freedom, is now here at the Design Museum in Den Bosch in the Netherlands. Designing freedom. How do you design freedom, and what makes California so special in that respect?
Well, I think Californian design and technology of the last 30 years, you could say, really has a strong line running through it of personal liberation. This idea that with the right tools you can do anything.
If everybody had an ocean across the USA, then everybody'd be served like California. You'd see them wearing their baggies, Warachi sandals too, a bushy blonde hairdo, surfing USA.
And we're standing here in front of the Waymo. What does the Waymo tell us about our tech culture and our culture of freedom now?
Well, it tells us that our notions of freedom are shifting as technology becomes more powerful. The car is the kind of totemic tool of Californian culture, and technology has got to a point where we're producing cars that we don't need to drive, that you can't drive yourself, you don't even need to own them yourself. So you're really stepping into a machine and being guided by an artificial intelligence, which is quite a scary idea, actually, which is, I think, possibly why this Waymo car looks so kind of cute and friendly, because it's a little bit unnerving to not have control. This is the Captain America chopper from the classic film Easy Rider. It was the motorcycle ridden by Peter Fonda as Captain America in the movie. It's a very different idea of freedom from the 1960s, a very 60s idea, a very hippie idea of freedom. 2 wheels and an open road, essentially, but also it's a customized vehicle, so that sense that one customizes one's own tools. It was made by my 2 motorcycle customizers in LA. And it's a big shift from this kind of 1960s vision to cars that you don't drive, cars that drive you, cars that you don't have control over. It says a lot about the shift in ideals, really, from the 60s to the early 21st century, and how technology is changing so many of the tools that we used to take for granted. I think, I like to say that in some ways we're all Californians now, because we're using Californian tools developed in Silicon Valley, whether it's personal computers or laptops or iPhones or social media platforms. The idea that a young woman in China might be taking a selfie of herself with an iPhone and posting it on Instagram, there's something about that.
Something universal.
So there's something universal, but it kind of comes from Northern Californian tech culture, and this idea that the individual is there to be expressed to a community. This is a piece by an artist called Sister Carita Kent. She was a nun living in LA in the 1960s. She was a pop artist, and like all good pop artists, she was reclaiming advertising slogans and reusing material she found in everyday life. This is a slogan of an oil company, Richfield Oil, and she was using it as a message of kind of religious empowerment and also political empowerment. Underneath is a small a sermon She always incorporated religious aspects, but for us it really resonates with the technological aspect of the show, because power up is what you do to a computer when you switch it on. So there's this sense of the individual can power up, can tool up, that we have, again, the tools to empower ourselves. Expressing the individual, this is somehow quite a Californian idea. It's all there somehow. It's all, you know, the message evokes that kind of Californian sense of the individual can do it if he has the right tools.
It's the 60s variation on Yes We Can.
That's a good way of putting it, yeah.
I was really curious to find out, how do you design freedom? And what's so special about California?
Money has a lot to do with it. This idea that anyone can be an entrepreneur, anyone can be, ultimately, you can start a company in a garage like Google, and you can become billionaires in the most powerful company in the world.
Great show here in the Design Museum in Den Bosch about California, and how so much of freedom as we now define it was invented in California, starting with the motorcycle, 2 wheels and an open road. That was freedom then. And now it's the self-driving car that we no longer have to drive. So much of our idea of freedom and communication now is determined by technology that came from California. The iPhone, the iPad, the surfboard, the graphics of the 60s. California's had a tremendous influence on our life and our way of thinking, and it's all here in this show.